Welcome to the Garth Riley Show. This is the resVIEWme portion, sitting with Tiffany St. Germain. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Garth.
This is exciting.
It is exciting.
Because you get an opportunity to actually express yourself in a video format versus trying to do it on a piece of paper. I think that it's impossible to describe most people with a piece of paper.
You can't get a dynamic from a piece of paper.
Yeah, and then of course if you want to figure out who a person is. Yeah, I agree.
Kind
so
of
let's take it back.
Take it back.
Well, I'll tell you where you ended up. So let's go here. Currently now, President, CEO of 10 Force, On Top Mobile, which features 10 Force CB, which is an iPhone app. We'll talk about that. And then we also have you doing now iPhone applications for corporations.
Yes.
And also president of shopaware.com, and which is a consumer rating site for businesses to promote themselves and find interactive information, kind of like Facebook for business.
Pretty much.
But it was developed before that.
Yes.
So that's quite a journey. And you got there through the media industry, and it started way back when you were a paralegal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Went through school as a paralegal. Started working, just to get a business background, started working in entertainment through a friend, and it's kind of in business affairs, but it was licensing, which is kind of the legal side plus some marketing. It was my introduction to marketing, and that led me to move on from Polygram to Warner Music to CBC Television. Did a little bit of print sales in between there, and after CBC went to Sony. And then when Sony and BMG merged, started my own businesses. But it was a pretty exciting run there.
What did you learn? Like, where were the biggest learnings? Let me take you back.
Yeah.
So the paralegal, what did you learn about yourself?
I learned that I don't like school, but that I like to have knowledge. So I learned what I needed to learn, and I tease a bit. I mean, the school part was fine, but I always knew I wanted to have my own business, so it certainly wasn't to work in a law firm. And then every job that I've had since, working at Polygram was really where I was able to start to cut my teeth and understand, at 21, what it was like to work in an exciting industry, being music, especially when it was much more exciting. And kind of learn about people and about business, and spent, a few years there, then decided I need some sales experience, so went into print sales. And
wait a minute, that's not an easy game.
No.
For women?
It was very tough. And
were you corporate print? Like what kind of print?
It was corporate print.
Okay,
yes.
So it wasn't like the newspaper.
No, it was corporate print,
okay.
And mostly promotional pieces, postcards, all that kind of stuff. And so I used a lot of my the contacts that I had in the music industry and kind of worked those, and it was good for me to learn how to work that.
What was your biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise was, I think, just how much persistence you have to have in something like that, and how you really have to get used to the no. You have to be okay with rejection and learn to, it's not always that they're rejecting you, it's just that they're rejecting the situation. You have to keep trying and go towards the good stuff, really focus on where you think you're going to make your biggest hit. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Then from there you end up in
went from
Warner.
there back to Warner, and
Why'd you go back? What was that all about?
It was actually a position that somebody called me about. They phoned me up and they said, this position would be great for you. It's, you've got all the qualifications. Would you be interested? And then I called up Alan Fletcher. He was my boss there. And, we had one of those rocky relationships, but he was very supportive and saw a lot of potential in me, and ultimately backed me quite a bit. I mean, it was funny because I pushed them a lot, but they were open to that. And I think they appreciated the fact that I would push the boundaries, and they liked the fact that I was a tough negotiator. I was a tough negotiator for me to get money and promotions and that kind of thing. And even Gary Newman, who was the president at the time and now still a mentor to me, he supported me and liked the fact that I was tough. And he actually said to me, I know that because you're tough with yourself, I know you'll be tough when you're negotiating on our behalf. And I would go to meetings with the president as a lowly person in middle management when I was there. So it was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Then moved over to CBC.
Moved to CBC.
Which is kind of tough because it's a government-run organization.
Yeah, and really you're working with programming who have, really they don't care about the money because it is government run, and they're all about the arts, and that's one side which I totally respected. And then the other side, I was still actually working for the marketing and sales side, which at the end of the day they want to sell they want to sell spots.
Yeah.
So my role in value creation was to find a way to increase the spend from our corporate supporters. So I would go in and instead of selling spots for $150,000, we would sell some of the bigger properties like the Trudeau miniseries and Great Canadian Music Dream and CBC's 50th anniversary, and we would sell them in for $1 million to corporate clients like GM. So I would work with marketing and sales and with programming and with the corporate client to find kind of a common ground where everybody was happy and getting what they wanted out of it.
Working corporately, selling large amounts versus selling small amounts.
And then also having very large budgets. So what that did for me, I mean, the music industry traditionally didn't have huge budgets for a lot of the stuff that we would work on. And CBC really, I would manage, once we sold it in, I would manage the budget. So we created an online music festival for GM, and we took them across the country and had the vibe at every location. And so those were the things, managing budgets like that was something that I hadn't done previously, and I think that kind of experience is so valuable, so valuable.
And then you comes along where
I wanted to start my own business after that, and took a 6-month contract with Sony Music. Again, had a great boss, Therese Garnett, who was very supportive. And somebody had left the organization as a senior manager in strategic. She offered me the job, and I said, no, I kind of want to do my own thing. I want to have my own business. And she said, but you're not sure what you want to do yet. So take this. I'll let you run with it like it's your own business. And I said, well, how much money do you have? And I did end up staying for a while, and then Sony and BMG merged together, and I ended up getting a payout to start my own business anyway. So that's kind of, I think within 6 months, I had figured out the whole background behind Shopware.com and launched Shopware Inc. as a corporation, and got the website ready to go.
Shopware.com and Shopware Inc. right now. Shopware, the product is now under update. You call it Shopware 4.0?
4.0, which is going to give businesses the ability to update all of their own information, much like a Facebook for businesses.
Nice. Very
and
cool.
We're pretty excited about that. I think had we been able to do that years ago, we would have been even further ahead of the game. But of course, money dictates how quickly you can move on some of those things.
Seth Godin calls it bootstrapping.
Yes.
Right? Bootstrapping is grow your business through growth.
And you know what? I think that's ultimately one of the best lessons you can learn as a business owner is bootstrapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last, just before we go, the mobile.
On Top Mobile came from On Top Marketing, which was just people started asking us who was doing our marketing, and it was us because that was our background. And so we started to look at, as we were marketing things, we were looking at just all of technology developing, and we saw what Apple was doing with the apps. And my partner Scott came up with the idea for 10.4CB, and I was pretty excited about it as well. And we worked on developing it together, and it's now going to be available on the Apple iTunes Store.
Well, a great amount of, I think anybody trying to figure out if there's an entrepreneur in the room that can work in a structure, because you sell to large corporations. Mm-hmm. So you're not a renegade entrepreneur. You have a tendency to do this, but you work with corporations, manage events for large institutions, regional institutions, helping them grow their business, help create, what you hadn't said about, help create one of the most successful international skate programs, sold it out when the guy from Germany wasn't able to do it. So there's so much more to you that we don't have time for, but I'm sure that anybody wants to find out more about you, they just have to call you and
I'd
take
love
you for
to talk
coffee.
to them.
Yeah, just do that. Okay. All right, that was Tiffany St. Germain here at the resVIEWme, and it was good being with you. Thanks for tuning in.